Okay, so today we'll study something that is hard disk drive. Okay, all right. So this is where we are. Okay. In the course, we have studied about. Of course, you have learned about how to write programs. We have looked at what are the libraries that are available in the user space. Then we have looked at the concept of processes. We have looked at the concept of threads, address space. We also studied files. I'm sure you have studied sockets. Then we have also studied, if you consider architecture side, we have learned about how processors work. We have looked at the paged memory or virtual memory concepts. Okay, we have looked at I/O. Okay, and then I'm sure you have looked at Ethernet and some other technologies. You have studied that, and now we are here. That's in the storage technology. Okay. So now we will essentially, in any system, you will find two kinds of technologies, right? For persistent, some systems have both, but most of system has one of the two, and all. And there are many types of persistent storage technologies. It means that persistent means that it's non-volatile. Information retains after program execution is over or process execution is over for a longer period of time. So we have seen when we have looked at this diagram about memory hierarchy, we have seen various kinds of technologies, right? So we have seen tape, magnetic tape. Still these are in use. When you have massive amount of data to be stored, then still tapes are in use. Then hard disk drive, and then we have SSD. This is nothing but flash. Okay, and then after that we had some new versions of memory that are upcoming. Anybody remember that what one memory that we studied? That's designed by, kind of invented by Intel.
Intel Optane.
Yes, Intel Optane. What is the spelling?
Optane.
Okay. Okay, any or N, I don't know. Then on top of that, no, of course, I mean, we called it Intel Optane, but there are good number of other companies that are developing this technology or similar technologies. On top of that, we have SDRAM, which is nothing but in general, we call it RAM. And then on top of that, we had cache, okay, which is actually DDRAM. I'm sorry, this is DDRAM, this is SDRAM. Okay, the faster technology. On top of that, we have register. So this is the hierarchy that we have studied. Okay, so the bottom one, which is tape, we are not studying. It's a magnetic. It's like your cassettes, right? Very similar technology, but these tapes are actually larger in size and huge amount of capacity, but access is sequential. For example, if you have possibly in your home, you will find old tape recorder or cassette player, and actually it was novelty when I was in college, right? And one of our foreign relative who was in US brought this and gifted us. I mean, then whole campus where I lived came to see that. Okay, it was so much novelty in India. Okay, so now and there used to be cassettes, right, which usually 60 minutes duration, and you can put set 15 songs into it, right? So if you want to hear a particular song, then you have to fast forward the tape to that point, and so on and so forth, right? So access is absolutely sequential. Okay, wherein hard disk drive, we can see that access, although sequential access gives us faster speed, but access can also be random. Okay. And then of course in when we come to RAM, etc., then access is absolutely random. It takes almost same time to access any location. Okay, so today we'll look at hard disk drive and aspects of SSD. Okay, so there are, we can see in general, if we have to store anything in hard disk, it will go as a file system, as file, which will use blocks. And then inside in hard disk, we can see we have sectors, the one which are shown here. And another important technology is SSD. Okay. And here we have something called block, and there is something called intelligent controller, which is FTL, which is flash translation layer. Okay, so we'll study this in the next class, that's tomorrow, and we'll try to focus here today in the on hard disk drive. Okay. Okay, so however, we need to know what exactly is happening today. Okay, see, the magnetic disk have been just wonderful technology. Actually, it has helped computer science to a great extent. I remember, when I started about 30 years back on com science, the department computer had very small amount of hard disk. Okay, and it was very expensive, very, very expensive. And RAM was, of course, a few kilobytes. Okay, then we always had to do programming thinking that we have very small amount of space available. And since then, magnetic disk have improved a lot. Every year, its density has increased, cost has reduced, size has reduced. Now it has come to the extent that the first mobile phone which I bought, even earlier Nokia phones had hard disk into that. Okay, I must be having a phone still. The most premium phone that Nokia had once upon a time had magnetic disk, and it remained till I guess till mid 90s. Okay, I think even 2004-5, whatever Nokia had designed had hard disk into it. Okay, because that was only great technology. But of late, this flash technology, it's a non-volatile, which we also call SSD, has started becoming important, and its technology improved a lot, right? And more commercial deployment started happening. So you will see in last 5-6 years, whatever mobile phone you have bought, the last 10 years maybe, that doesn't have hard disk. Okay, so it's a semiconductor memory. Okay, so basically NAND or NOR type memory. And now, of course, we can create a 3D structure of this memory, right? It's 100 plus level of cells. Of course, we are not going to discuss that. And normally what happens in transistors, ordinary transistors, if we have only two states, 0 and 1. Okay, however, in this one, we can have, we can store more bits. Instead of 2 bits, 0 and 1, we can have, say, 3 bit of data per cell, and that's also changing. Okay, this gives a comparison of RAM versus hard disk versus SSD. That this comparison was done in 2018. Okay, note that when you are comparing technologies, you have to specify the time or date, because this all parameters would have changed in last 3 years. Okay, but nevertheless, let's look at the state of these technologies in 2018. A typical size of RAM was 8 GB. So had you bought a laptop sometimes 5-6 years back, then it would be just 4 to 8 GB RAM, or even mobile phones have 4 GB RAM at that time. And the hard disk was 1 terabyte, while SSD was smaller in sizes in a typical machine. Okay, it was 256 GB. So you can see that hard disk capacity was much higher. Cost was RAM is most expensive. It still is more expensive than HDD and SSD. Okay, the cost here of a hard disk was $0.05 per GB, while the cost of SSD was 0.32. It's almost like 6-7 times more expensive. Power consumption in the hard disk drive is actually a mechanical device, right? There's a motor and the motor consumes power. So you can see the power consumption here is much higher than SSD. Read latency, look at the read latency here. Is 15 millisecond, while RAM is 15 nanosecond, almost 1,000 times faster. HDD is 15 millisecond. Reason is that it's a mechanical. You cannot drive the motor at very, very, very high speed, although it's still very high, but the limitation comes because of rotation of disk. While SSD has no moving part, so its access time or read latency is much lower, is 13 microsecond. Read speed is basically bandwidth, at how much data you can read. RAM, of course, is much higher. Okay, while HDD is 175 megabytes per second and SSD is much higher. It means that given same capacity of SSD and HDD, the data that you can transfer from the device is much higher in SSD. Okay, and then how much minimum information you can read at a time. For example, in RAM, you can read a word. It's a word, basically if each location gives you a word, say 4 bytes or whatever. Okay, while HDD hard disk, you'll have to read a sector, and SSD, you'll have to read a page. Okay. And we know that these two are non-volatile, that's HDD and SSD. Okay, however, one thing to be noted here is that when we'll study SSD, we'll come to discuss that number of times read write can be done on SSD is limited in the present day technology, right? I mean, it's something like some thousands of times you can do read and write. After that started becoming what do you call that? I mean, it becomes faulty. Okay, so but nowadays it's of course improved a lot, but it's still more, still the technology can survive, assuming that we have limited amount of read and write every day. This SSD can survive for say 10 or sometimes 20 years or even more. Okay, so although number of read write cycles that it can permit is limited in present technology, but that's sufficiently long for any device lifetime. Okay, all right, any question up to this point?
Sir, what's page for the SSD?
Okay, we'll come to that, right? Because every device has to have some structure inside. Okay, so SSD have concept of blocks and pages, and then we have to define what is minimum unit we can read and write. For example, in RAM, we can always say that minimum unit that you can read or write is 1 byte. Okay, that's but that may not be true for all technologies, right? For example, in disk, hard disk, minimum unit that you can read or write is sector. You bring a sector, modify it, maybe a bit within that, and then write it back. Similarly, in SSD, the read and write unit, read, erase and write units are different. Okay, you can read, say for example, a page consists of say 1K or 2K of data at a time. But when you have to erase at a time thousands of pages. And writing can be done also on a page. So, so the whole point is that the unit of erase, how much you have to erase or delete, and how much you can write and read, this is different. So we'll come to that structure of what is a block, what is a page in the next class. Okay, so another comparison is that magnetic disks have improved a lot over time and rarely becomes corrupted. I mean, never ever it happened that my hard disk didn't work. Even I have laptops which are almost like 10 years old, hard disk still working. Okay, flash memory is that rarely it becomes corrupted until unless certain number of cycles, it has crossed say 10,000 cycles or something like that, then it will start becoming corrupted. So in terms of capacity, large capacity at low cost. Okay, now again, this is based on what time this comparison was done, but flash memory itself now is also becoming larger capacity and cheaper. Okay, in 2018 we have seen that the cost was higher and capacity was lower, but it's not the same. It has the cost per terabyte has reduced significantly since then in last 3 years. Then we have block level random access. Okay, now block is of course consists a number of sectors at higher level. Okay, while at flash we have block level random access. So basically in both we can read information by random access. Okay, here in magnetic disk there's slow performance for random access because head that reads information on platter or disk has got to move to right track and then right sector. Okay, so it's comparatively slow, but sequential is once you position the track head at right place, then it can sequentially read subsequent sectors. So sequential access is faster. Okay, so it's a good performance for read, but worse for random writes. We'll see why. Okay, because randomly if you have to write, then we'll have to have kind of page available. If it's not available, then the whole block is to be erased. We'll see that. Okay, better performance for sequential access we have covered, and we have to erase data in case of flash memory in large blocks. Okay, and then something something is called wear leveling, which we'll study in the next class. That how do you distribute the blocks such that the wear and tear is less. Wear is less because if you have some locations which is being always used, okay, and rest of the memory is not used, it means that the same location is used many times, and then it will become unusable after some time. So why not distribute it, whatever information is that in the disk in the memory, such that overall number of use of each location is less. Instead of just few locations reading or writing say 10,000 times, instead of that the whole information can be shared across many locations. Okay? All right. Now let's look at this diagram. Now this gives a market trend. Okay, you can see here the orange curve which shows the hard disk cost in terms of dollar per terabyte. Okay, so we can see that, note that this is a logarithmic scale, right? This is not linear. Okay, so logarithm. So there's significant drop in the price of hard disk drive now still is reducing. Okay, now we are here to 20, okay, somewhere here. And look at the drop in flash cost of the flash. It's much more significant, noting that is a logarithmic scale. So flash cost per unit terabyte is reducing at very, very high fast rate. Okay, and 2026, 5 years from now, we can see that cost of hard disk versus cost of SDRAM will be the same. Okay, here this green curve shows the ratio. Okay, so it right now hard, flash is 8.1 times. So in the beginning it was 8 times more costly. Right now so it must be almost like 1.5 times more costly, right? And another 5 years, we'll see that cost both SDRAM and hard disk will cost the same. Okay, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. And this shows what is the industrial production, or how much volume of different technologies have been shipped. Okay, so we can see that even today, 2021, I have taken this this data which is very recently published, just few months back. Okay, we can see now today number of flash memory or NAND type of flash memory that is being shipped is already more than number of HDD being shipped in terms of, say, terabytes of memory. Okay, so it means that now more flash is more in use than hard disk types. Okay, of course cost will come to the same point in another few years. Okay, so what we understand from this, in future laptop there won't be hard disk drive because there is no use of having hard disk drive. Of course it may continue to be used in larger, bigger system because of some reason, maybe because the lifetime of hard disk is surely higher than flash, but we don't know how the technology will shape in future. Okay, all right, so this gives a comparison of the two technology, and on the left we have SSD, on the right we have HDD, and we can see that access time is almost 5 times faster in case of SSD. IO performance is also faster. We can do 6,000 IOs per second, while for hard disk drive we have 400. Reliability is much higher. Okay, note that reliability is different from lifetime. As long as device is working during the lifetime, which is defined lifetime of a device, okay, what is the failure probability? What is the probability that it will work correctly is reliability. Okay, so reliability we can see is much higher, primarily because it does not have moving parts. Energy saving, of course, is because based on semiconductor is less, while in case of hard disk drive it will be higher because of there is a concept of motor, right? So it takes more. CPU power, I don't know, how do you define CPU power? CPU power, I don't know, maybe just okay. Average IO weight. SSD have an average IO weight of 1%. Okay, all right. In terms of IO, okay, and here in case of 7%. All right, and then input output request times. Okay, average service time for IO request while running backup remains below 20 milliseconds on an average IO wait time or service time, okay, to complete service, where in case of hard disk much higher. Okay, and backup, of course, backup time is lower in case of SSD than HDD. So these are some comparisons. You can go through it. Now coming, yeah.
Sir, can you explain the CPU power?
Okay, what does it read? Okay. Now CPU power, they have defined it in this way. Okay, you have, okay. SSD have average IO weight of 1%. HDD has average IO weight of about 7%. What do you interpret from this? What is the interpretation of this?
Sir, means
Yeah.
SSD can wait for the input output only the 1%.
Yeah. So what does it mean? Remaining percentage is available for computation.
Okay.
Okay. So this is overall interpretation. Now, how do you do it? How it is? Whether it's a block process, while IO is done, the process is blocked or not blocked, or that's not here considered. When we do comparison of technologies, we look at very high level. Okay, run the same process in both HDD versus machine having HDD versus SSD, and then look at the comparison. How much CPU capacity is available, okay, for doing computation. So that's the understanding. All right. Okay, are you convinced?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this name, I mean, the person who has, the people who have done this comparison have used this word called CPU power. Does not mean how many megaflops and so on and so forth, right? It can have, but just a way they have represented that how much percentage of time is CPU is available for doing computation task. All right. Okay, let's move ahead. So this is the HDD and it's called magical drive, right? Because it's done magic for computer systems, right? The way it has progressed, the way the technology improved. Okay, and now we can have, earlier it used to be very hard. I remember when I bought first desktop, I have assembled by myself because, branded ones were expensive. And it used to be, hard disk that I had was almost like, 9 inches by 5 inches size, and depth was almost like 3 inch or something. So it's like a box. It's like a kind of brick, smaller than a brick, normal brick. Okay, and now we can see the size of drives, right? It's very small. It's called micro drive, of course, and can go possibly in some devices like phone, mobile phones, etc. Okay, all right. So this is the view of hard disk drive. We can see that there is arm here that rotates the heads. So this is arm. Okay, this is okay, and then here we can see there is something called head. Now note that on all platters, on all surfaces, arm will be at the head will be at the same position. Okay, so if it's reading on top base is reading, say, some sector, okay, the lower disk also it will be reading the same sector, basically same sector number on that plate. Okay, so now we can see there is something called track. So this something that's between the two circles is track. So this is a track, and within track we have something called sectors. Okay, sector is minimum unit we can operate on, we can read or write. Okay, all right, and there are multiple concentric circles. Okay, you know, there's just one circle is shown here, one track is shown here. There are many tracks. Okay, these tracks are very thin. It's 1 micrometer, 1 micron. Okay, while you know, and while you'll have to really visualize it, that wavelength of light is half micron. Our eyes can just see anything which is 50 micron or more. Okay, and there are 100,000 tracks on 2.5-inch discs, so it's a very advanced technology. Okay, and the motor speed is to be constant, and you know how to achieve that. So there's a lot of technology out there. Okay. Okay, and these tracks are separated by unused guard regions. Okay, because there is some separation between these tracks. Now, of course, new technologies, we have something called overlap tracks. We'll look at that also, right? So this is a top view. Okay, so we have tracks. You can see this is the first track, this is the second track. Okay, and then we have sectors. And sectors are divided into basically a number of basically bits, or we can say bytes. Note that amount of information that is kept in a sector here in outer track is same as that's kept in inner track. Okay, all right, and there is a guard in between, inter track gap, that's here between the two tracks. Okay, so typically sector is of 512 bytes. Oh, sorry. And minimum reading on disk is 1 sector. All right. So this same view again. So outer sectors will have more, outer rings will have, or outer tracks will have more sectors. Okay, and inner tracks will have. Okay. Basically, if you use a okay, so if you use the same space for each sector, then outer side will have more sectors, right? But these are organized in region of tracks with same number of sectors per track. Okay, this is the design aspect, right? Otherwise, it will be very difficult to operate the whole thing. All right. Okay. Okay, it means that something that is very close to spindle, these tracks are not used. That's a limitation, but this is fine. All right. And then the newer this we have, this called shingle magnetic recording, wherein you know earlier there used to be a separation in traditional hard disk, but now they have overlapped tracks. You know, second track, for example, this innermost track, the next track overlaps with it. So how does it work, etc., etc.? We'll have to go into detail to understand that. But I just wanted to mention that in this way, we can have greater capacity. Of course, there will be some technology to have, you know, to read and write, and possibly I don't know, maybe some error correction, etc. So restriction on reading writing is a complex digital signal processing for reading and writing. So this is a newer technology. Okay, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, so this is another view. So we have tracks here, sectors, and then we have cylinder and platter. The cylinder is nothing but, you know, putting all platters together, all cylinder. Okay, so all cylinders are all tracks under the head at given point in time on all surfaces. because there are multiple heads and they will be in same position on multiple platters, that we call as a cylinder. Okay, then something called seek time is nothing but when the position head and head arm over the proper track. So we have seen that there is a head here. Okay, now head has to move in for example, it's currently in some inner track, and it has to move it to some other track, then it has to move in and move out, right? So it has to move out. So that's called seek time, when head movement happens along with arm. Okay, so this takes about 5 and 10 millisecond, 5 to 10 millisecond. Second is that when head has come to the proper track, for example here, and the sector that is to be read is somewhere else, it will take time for this sector to come under head. Okay, the head now remains fixed in proper one and track position, and then because of rotation of disk, this sector will come under the head. So that's called rotational latency. Okay, and then there is a transfer time, because when this has come under the head, so there will be some time for this data to be transferred. Okay, that's called transfer time. Okay, so overall latency is for the system. There's a queue time. If there are multiple requests, this will be queued in device driver. Then controller will take some time to operate. Okay, and then seek time. Seek time is essentially moving head arm to proper track. Then rotational latency is a time the system will take to bring head to the proper sector, and then time to transfer the data from disk to some buffer. Okay, this buffer could also be in hard disk drive. All right, so achieve the best bandwidth, large transfer of physically adjacent sector. So once note that once head has moved into a proper sector, and then a disk has rotated and head now comes to proper head has moved to proper track, and then disk has moved in and the right sector has come under head. Now if we read sequentially the data, the first the sector, next sector, and so on and so forth, then we don't have to move the head. Okay, that's the best case, right? Okay, the performance will be best, or the bandwidth will be highest in that case. Okay, so now you can read this by yourself. This is one example. Okay, so what is the rotation time? 70 to 100 RPM. From that you can find out how many seconds it will take or milliseconds it will take okay, for one rotation. Okay, so basically it will come out to be 8 millisecond, and then you can from that you can see what all you can read, and then come out with in order to read one block how much time you will require, and so on, right? So please go through this example by yourself. There's nothing much but data and just manipulation of data. The concept is the same, right? Then you will take some time for buffer, basically queuing in the beginning, then controller will take some time, then head has to be positioned at right place, right track, and the disk has to move into right sector, and then number of sectors that you will have to read. Okay, that the data has to be transferred. So these are the parameters. So based on that, we can have number of examples, and possibly I may ask a question on this in the end exam. Okay, so now let's come to HDD controller. So when we say hard disk, it doesn't mean that it is just few platters put inside a hard, some box, and these are the heads. That's not all. It has got to have something more than that, right? Because there is a need for a controller here. Okay, there is also need for some kind of buffer. Okay, what happens if certain sectors are bad? Becomes corrupted because it's all mechanical, right? Or even everything has a lifetime. Then how do you handle that scenario, right? Okay, so olden days, the device driver used to address block of data by cylinder number, head, which platter it is on, and the sector number. So device driver that we have studied in the last class, we assumed that device driver knows everything about hard disk. And based on that, it will instruct the hard disk controller to do certain things, right? But as devices are becoming more intelligent, device drivers are becoming thin, and intelligence is going into the device. Okay, so now hard disk we can treat as a just array of sectors. Okay, and sector numbers are mapped internally into physical location. And okay, so who does this job of mapping? Earlier it was all done by device driver. Now it is done by the controller. Now controller comes packaged with the hard disk. It means that it will have also some flash memory, because it's running something. Okay, so it comes, it will have also a small processor for doing all that, right? Okay, so all this mapping now is done by, that is from sector number to actual physical location, which track and where exactly it is, which platter, all these things are done internally within the hard disk by controller. Okay, apart from that, there are other things that it handles, the error correcting codes. Now, we know that there is always possibility of some error, okay, in a system, any system. Okay, even for example, when you send a packet comes with some error correcting code, right? Because there is always possibility of few bits being in error. Now probability of one bit in error is quite high. This reason you will see that most of the systems have single bit error correction. Now this error correction and error detection, though, these are two different things. Okay, possibly in your networking course you would have touched upon some of these concepts. When we say error correcting code is there, it means that certain number of bits that are in error can be corrected by these codes, right? So here there are so when we will put this error correcting codes, when you are writing into a device, right? So these error correcting codes, even in a packet, when packet is formed, at that time this code is, the value of the code is calculated and appended. Okay, and if something is in error, one few bits are in error, these can be corrected using this code. So this, now we have error correcting codes also in the disk. It means that if some bits are flipped, it can be corrected. Then there is something called sector sparing, slip sparing, and track skewing. Now these three we'll study now. Error correcting code we have already discussed. Sector sparing is that, okay, the reason for sector sparing is that disks are made with tracks and sectors which is thin as small as possible, right? The degree of integration is very high. So if there is imperfection in sector, then sector cannot be used reliably to store data. Even if something is wrong, then we cannot use the sector, right? So what can happen is that then there are some spare sectors distributed across each surface. Okay, and something is one sector is in error, then instead of that sector, the data can go to this spare sector. All right. So this firmware or formatting can remap bad sector transparently to spare sectors on the same surface. All right. Now, okay, so when we do this, then it's also important is that we do slip sparing, wherein remap all sectors to preserve sequential behavior. Oh, no, because these spare sectors are placed at is distributed in the original disk. Okay, and while formatting all or disk, firmware finds out some bad sector, and it will map to the closest spare sector on possibly on the same track, such that its overall behavior is very close to sequential behavior. All right, and third is called track skewing. Okay, so the sector number, so basically we look at this. Okay, suppose this is one sector. Okay, this some in and say sector sector number one. The sector number one and the next disk cannot start at the same place. It's inefficient, right? Because disk is under movement. So what is done is shifted slightly, right? So basically, I'm redrawing it. This is the first sector here, and this is moving in this direction. Then this sector will be somewhere here. Okay, this is called track skewing. The sector number offset from one track to next to allow this head movement for sequential operations. So logical sector 0 on each track is staggered by sector 0 on the previous track. By something like the staggering is here, that's shown here. Okay, by an amount corresponding to time it takes for this to move the head from one track to another track. Okay, so basically reason for this staggering is that the head initially is here, it has to move to next track and it will take some time, but then that time is adjusted by staggering the data. All right, any question? No, simple. All right, so this is a typical number for a disk. Please go through it by yourself. Okay, and this is an example of current hard disk drive. This current is of course not very current. It's 2018. 2021 also you can get data on internet, right? So you can always find this out. Okay, to summarize, hard disk drives had magical runs so far. Okay, it has improved tremendously and served us for more than, say, I would think around half a century, close to half a century, almost like started coming in 70s up to now 70s, 80s, right? So almost like 50 plus years it had magical run wherein everything happened. They became smaller in sizes, significantly smaller in sizes, from brick size to almost like something that we can hold in a hand, hold in a palm, and smaller than a size of a palm. Okay, information capacity improved a lot. It used to be earlier few hundreds of megabits to now we have terabit. I have in my I have bought one about 10 years back. I have bought external storage device which is 2 terabyte just for 3,000-4,000 rupees. Okay, now of course few terabytes of memory you can have in very small disk drive. Okay, now power consumption, when we say power, is electrical power. because these are becoming smaller in size, power consumption is also reduced. Lower in cost, there is significant drop in the prices, almost like kind of exponential drop. I don't know exponential or non-exponential, but we have used logarithmic scale is also reducing, so it's kind of quite heavy drop. Improved performance in terms of bandwidth. Yes, I mean there is a bandwidth of hard disks have changed significantly because technology has changed. Okay, and then higher reliability. I mean, disks have become very, very reliable. Earlier, the disk failure used to be very common, but it's very rare now. Okay, lower failure rates. Okay, so the both are the same points. I mean, higher reliability means that failure rates are lower, and there's a lot of intelligence. This has improved performance significantly. Okay, however, this coming, every technology has a lifetime. Okay, and have you heard this Gartner curve? Gartner cycle. Did you hear about it? Maybe we'll cover it in next class. Just it's heavily used in industry. Any technology, okay, starts as an R&D somewhere, sometimes in industry, mostly in the labs. Okay, becomes improving. It improves and reaches where there's a lot of hype about it. Okay, and then a lot of investment comes when there is a hype, and then it starts maturing. Okay, and now we'll see lower side means that now hype reduces, technology matures, but people don't talk about it. Okay, and then it becomes kind of in use. Okay, and so it remains in use for some time and then it dies out, and then there's some new technology comes in. Okay, so for example, if this HDD hype, we call it Gartner cycle or hype cycle here. Actually, the correct word is hype cycle. So and then SSD or flash started after say maybe 20, 30 years, and now it's going through this cycle. There's a possibility another 20 years some new technology will come in which will replace SSD. Okay, so that's called hype cycle. And as a technology person, we have to always see what is the next wave, work on that and jump onto that when next technology becomes mature. Okay, remember that's called Gartner's hype cycle. Gartner is a company that does market research, and they came out with this model of hype cycle. Okay, all right. Okay, any question? No? All right, then see you tomorrow.